Let's learn about the CountDownLatch. CountDownLatch is a synchronization utility that allows one or more threads to wait until a set of operations which is being performed in another thread completes. It is part of the Java util concurrent package and can be used for controlling the flow of execution in the concurrent programs. The key concept of CountDownLatch is that it maintains a count that it starts from a specific number and decreases each time the countdown method is called. Threads that need to wait for the countdown to reach 0 can call the await method, which will block until the count becomes 0. So when to use CountDownLatch? Let's understand the scenario in which we can use CountDownLatch with a very simple and easy to understand example. Imagine you are a tech lead who is leading a complex project. Being the expert which you are, you divide the complex task to some smaller and simple to implement tasks. After splitting the task, you distribute them with your team and they start working on their respective tasks. However, now you cannot proceed further on this project until they all complete their task. In scenario like this, you can use a CountDownLatch. CountDownLatch is like a checkpoint for each team member's progress. You set up the latch with the total number of tasks or team members. Each member, upon completing their task, calls the countdown method of the latch. It indicates that they are done. As the organizer, you wait for all the tasks to be completed by calling the await method. This method halts your progress until the count reaches to 0, meaning all tasks are done. Once all the tasks are completed, the latch opens up and you can proceed with the next phase of the project. So, CountDownLatch helps in coordinating multiple threads or tasks to synchronize their work. It ensures that they all reach a certain point before proceeding further. So let's have a quick code demonstration on how we can use the CountDownLatch for developing certain use case. We are in the concurrent collection package and I will create a class. Let's call this as restaurant, and I will implement a task. Let's call that as chef and let it implement the runnable. So before we move ahead with the implementation, let's discuss a bit about what we are planning to implement. So what we are planning to build here is a simulation where a group of chefs need to prepare different dishes in a restaurant kitchen. Each chef is responsible for preparing a specific type of dish. And the kitchen manager wants to start serving customers only when all the dishes are ready. So here is how we can use the CountDownLatch to coordinate all the chefs. So let's proceed with the implementation of the chef class. So first thing is, let's override the run method. So with that in place, let's have a few properties of the class. So first is a string, which is name. The second is again a string, which is a dish. And third field is going to be the CountDownLatch itself. Let's initialize all these fields in a constructor. So now that we have initialized all the fields in the constructor, here is what we are going to have in the run method. So we try to simulate the preparation of the dish, and for that let's have a try block and then a catch block. It's going to throw an interrupted exception. Let's call this as E, and for now just throw a runtime exception. And for the try block, what we will be doing is, first we print a message like name is preparing and then the dish. Next, let's have a sleep time of 200 milliseconds, and the idea is that this is the simulation for the cooking time. So essentially your chef is going to cook for 2 seconds. Quite a fast chef, right? He is cooking in just 2 seconds. Anyway, so let's have another print statement, and what this will be printing is name plus has finished preparing and the dish. So till now what we have tried to mimic is that the chef is going to prepare some food, and once they are done preparing the food, this message will be printed, and what it means is that the task has been completed. So what we will do is we will call latch.countdown. So that should be it for this class, that is the chef class. Now let's implement the main method in the restaurant class. So let's have an integer value. Let's call this as number of chefs. Let's say we have 3 chefs, and what we will do now is we will create the threads for the 3 chefs and then we will start those threads. The way we can do this is new thread, and it could accept a new chef. Let's name this as chef A. Let's assume the chef is preparing pizza, and then we pass the latch. So we have not created the latch yet, we will create in some time, and then let's call the dot start method on this one. So let's create the latch. So let's have the countdown latch. Let's call this as latch, and new countdown latch, number of chefs. Let's create a same kind of thread for the another chef as well. So new chef, let's call this guy as chef B, and let's assume that this guy is preparing pasta. So let's call latch and let's call start. Let's duplicate this, and let's say this guy is preparing maybe salad, and this guy is chef C. So when we have created the threads and called the start on these threads will start running at some point of time, and then we should make use of the latch somehow in order to ensure that this entire thread of execution, that is this one, is blocked till the time all these 3 threads are completed, right? And the way to do this using the latch is call the await method. What does await method do? It will ensure that the thread is waiting for all the dishes to be completed. Eventually 3 threads are there, all those 3 threads are done with their execution, and await will expect us to handle some exception, and either we could add into the method signature or surround with try catch. For now let's add to the method signature, that is an interrupted exception, and once this is done then we can print a message that all the dishes are ready. Let's start serving customers. So this is what we have implemented. Let's try to run this and see its output. So when we call dot start, the message is printed that chef C is preparing salad, chef A is preparing pizza, chef B is preparing this pasta, and after 2 seconds all these 3 chefs are done, and what they do is they print chef C has finished, chef A has finished, chef B has finished. And when these guys are finishing with their preparation, they will be eventually calling the last.countdown. And since we have defined a value of 3, that is the number of chefs, which was 3 here, so this countdown latch has a value 3 to begin with. And the way it works is that last.await will hold true, or rather it will hold the execution of the thread on which this has been called till the time it does not reach 0. And by the time the third chef is done, that is chef B has finished preparing the pasta, then in that case that thread will be calling the latch.countdown, and once that countdown is invoked, it means that the counter becomes 0, and at that point of time this will be unlatched, and then the thread will be unblocked for the further processing, which is system.out, and this message will be printed. So this is what the countdown latch does, and this is the way in which we can make use of this for our use cases. Now you may have a doubt. You may think that in the beginning of the video we learned about the join method. So is it not very functionally similar to the join? So let's understand that. So from the purpose perspective, countdown latch is designed to allow one or more threads to wait until a set of operations in other threads complete. It is typically used for coordination among the multiple threads. Join, on the other hand, is used to wait for a thread to complete its execution before proceeding with the rest of the code. And it's specifically used for thread synchronization within a single threaded context. So how exactly are these two things different from the user's perspective? So the countdown latch is useful when you have multiple threads performing independent tasks and you want to coordinate them before moving forward. And join is useful when you have a main thread that spawns worker threads and needs to wait for them to finish before continuing its execution. So I hope these points should have drawn a clear picture of the differences between the countdown latch and join method. However, you might have one more doubt left. You may think, if there are 3 threads and there is a countdown latch for them, so either use the countdown latch or call join methods 3 times, which is on all the 3 threads. Is it not the same, right? So why take a pain of learning a new concept altogether? Think of this scenario where you have a dynamic number of threads. So what do? How many times and in what manner are you going to call join method on those threads? In situations like this, countdown latch shines as compared to the uses of join method. Overall, countdown latch is a much cleaner and elegant approach, especially if you are coordinating among multiple thread operations. So the final thing about the countdown latch is, can we reset the count? Well, countdown latch is supposed to be used as a one-shot solution, so you cannot reset the count. If you need a solution which resets the count, you are looking for something called as a cyclic barrier. And with this, let's learn about the cyclic barrier next.